The 10th reason why I do not believe in evolution is because evolution cannot explain how life began. Let's talk about reverse engineering for a little while. Reverse engineering is when a design which already exists is studied and disassembled into smaller components so that the design can be copied by someone other than the original designers. Let's say XYZ Incorporated wants to start making and selling a product that is already being sold by another company. They send someone to the store and purchase the widget from off the shelf. The widget is then carried to the laboratory of XYZ Incorporated where their engineers disassemble and study the already existing product. Their goal is to reduce the design time and the cost to develop the product. The team at XYZ can be less skilled than the original team of designers because they are only copying the product, not designing it from scratch. It is always easier to reverse engineer something that already exists than to design and build something from the very beginning. And yet, with all the knowledge that science has, it has never been able to reverse engineer even the simplest forms of life and recreate something living from something non-living. They've never been able to take inorganic material and make organic material out of it. If the elementary life occurred from a series of evolutionary events, why has man never been able to reverse engineer what happened by accident? Why has the simplest forms of life never been initiated from scratch? With all this evolutionary knowledge that supposedly exists, why has life never been reverse engineered? The failure to reverse engineer life is why some evolutionists want to separate the origin of life from the evolution of life. They just want evolution to pertain to the changes in species once the initial life has occurred. Well, I have a number of problems with this approach, and I've listed them out here. The first problem I have with this approach is that if scientists had been able to recreate life from inorganic material, then they would have most certainly included it into the study of evolution. As a matter of fact, they would have been ecstatic because they had created life. They had created that which is living from that which is non-living. They would have most certainly included it into the study of evolution. As a matter of fact, it would be the cornerstone of their theory. And the second reason why I can't accept this approach is because you cannot go back millions of years and then abruptly stop because you're confused and do not know which direction to go in. And then the third reason I can't accept this approach is because Charles Darwin should have never titled his book The Origin of Species. He should have titled it Life After the Origin. And then lastly, the last problem that I have with this approach is that Charles Darwin avoided detailing the origins in his book, but made frequent statements referring to spontaneous generation. An example of that is he referred to the warm little pond. So the evolutionist doesn't like it because he can't explain it. He can't reverse engineer it. He doesn't understand where the origins of life comes from. And so he doesn't want to discuss that issue. He just wants to discuss the things that happened once that life began. But life had to have a beginning. It had to have a starting point. But the evolutionist does not really know what to do with that. If he did, he would create life from that which is non-living.